Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a highly specific, totally science-backed protocol designed to completely optimize your biology. You know, right after you hit your 30th birthday, your body's primary repair hormone it kind of drops off a cliff. It's a harsh biological reality. But the really good news? There are deliberate, proven ways to biohack this system. So let's jump right in and look at exactly how we can manipulate our environment to take back control of this absolutely crucial biological function. Get this, we are going to explore exactly how to trigger a staggering 1600%, yes, that's a 16-fold surge in your human growth hormone. We aren't just talking about a tiny little bump here. This is a monumental blast of the exact hormone that acts as the master key for your metabolism, your tissue repair, and your muscle growth. If you really want to optimize how your body heals and performs, this is the whole shebang. But it really begs the question, right? Do you actually know the precise biological mechanism required to trick your body into unlocking these peak levels of growth hormone? Because, let me tell you, it doesn't just happen by accident, and it definitely doesn't happen while sitting in your comfort zone. It requires a very specific, targeted intervention to force your biology to respond in such an extreme way. It all starts in a tiny control center called the preoptic area, or the POA for short. Think of the POA as your brain's internal thermostat. When you step into a super hot environment, neurons in your skin immediately fire off electrical signals right up your spinal cord directly to the POA. Once it gets that signal, it's like, okay, time to go to work, and it coordinates massive internal shifts to protect you. We're talking intense sweating, vasodilation, and, what we really care about today, the release of specific, highly potent hormones. Now, to really grasp why this is such a game changer, we gotta look at how this normally works. Usually, your body releases growth hormone every single night during those early stages of deep, slow-wave sleep. But, like we talked about, that natural output takes a serious nosedive as we age. Here's where it gets wild, though. A landmark study from back in 1986 discovered that we can essentially hijack this aging, diminishing system just by using deliberate, extreme heat exposure. Let's move into Section 1, the Thermal Shock Protocol. We're going to break down exactly how that 1986 landmark study designed this sequence to create that massive 16-fold spike. The very first requirement is the environment itself, and I'm not going to lie, it's intense. The exact temperature you need for this protocol is a blistering 80 degrees Celsius, which is about 176 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so this is definitely not your casual, relaxing Sunday spa day. This is a profound environmental stressor. And that stress is literally exactly what's necessary to send those urgent electrical signals from your skin straight to the POA we mentioned earlier. And the architecture of this protocol, it is highly, highly specific. Step 1 requires you to spend 30 unbroken minutes in that 176-degree heat. Step 2 is taking a dedicated cool-down break to let your core temperature stabilize. And Step 3 is where it becomes a true shock to your system. You have to repeat this entire process 4 times in a single day. Yep, that is a total of 2 solid hours of extreme heat exposure chunked into these specific blocks. But wait, here is the absolute most critical catch to the whole process. If you look at the growth hormone response over time, on day 1, you hit the jackpot. You get that full 100% maximum effect, that 16-fold spike. But if you try to do it again, by day 3, the response drops by a massive 2/3. And if you stubbornly push through to day 7, the effect almost completely vanishes. Why? Because your body is an incredible adaptation machine. It becomes highly heat adapted, and your internal systems simply stop firing as intensely once they expect the heat is coming. So it really comes down to understanding the difference between a biological shock and a daily habit. Look, if you use a sauna 4 to 7 times a week, you're going to get absolutely amazing, proven cardiovascular benefits for your heart. But you will lose that hormone spike. If your goal is to push through a stubborn fat loss barrier or massively accelerate your recovery from hard training, you have to limit this extreme shock protocol to just once a week, or maybe even once every 10 days. That is the only way to keep that 16-fold spike intact. All right, on to Section 2, optimizing the hormone spike. Now that we've got the core structure down, let's look at the non-negotiable rules for getting the maximum biological return on this exhausting protocol. To get the absolute most hormonal bang for your buck, you've got to stick to 3 main rules. First up, you need to time this later in the day or in the early evening. Second, you must do this in a fasted state, meaning at least 2 to 3 hours after your last meal.
This is huge, guys, because elevated blood glucose and insulin will literally blunt your growth hormone release. If you eat right before jumping in the heat, you're biologically blocking the exact spike you're trying to create. And third, you have got to prioritize massive hydration and electrolytes.
Let's zoom in on why timing this in the evening is so crucial. It comes down to what's known as the post-heat sleep axis. See, when you finally step out of that heat for the last time, your body's internal cooling mechanisms kick into absolute overdrive to drop your core temperature. That rapid drop in core temp, that is the exact biological trigger your body needs to seamlessly slide right into deep, slow-wave sleep. You are essentially perfectly aligning your heat-induced growth hormone spike with your natural sleep-induced growth hormone spike. It's pretty brilliant.
And please do not ignore the strict hydration math here. Because you're going to be sweating buckets for 2 hours, you absolutely must drink at least 16 ounces of water for every 10 minutes you spend in the heat. It's not just about quenching your thirst. Your neurons rely heavily on sodium to fire properly. If you fail to replace the water and electrolytes during this massive fluid shift, your internal signaling is going to suffer immensely.
So, now that you've got a handle on the strict architecture and the truly fascinating biology behind the thermal shock protocol, I want to leave you with this. Have you ever actually tried a multi-session sauna day like this? And if so, did you notice a sudden, undeniable difference in your vitality and your tissue recovery? It is definitely a demanding protocol, but man, a 16-fold reward might just be the exact tool you need to unlock your ultimate biology. Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer, and keep exploring the science of your own performance.